What makes someone commit murder? Is it a natural instinct? Or is it shaped by events in their lives? Something much darker. We've all heard of notorious killers, their faces plastered in the news, their names forever linked to the unthinkable. But what drives a person to become a criminal mastermind, a cold-blooded murderer? In today's video, we are going to take a deep dive into the psychological profiles of notorious killers and explore how their minds work. Buckle up, it's going to be a chilling ride. Before we dive into some of the most famous killers in history, let's understand what makes them tick. Criminals, especially notorious killers, don't just wake up one day and decide to murder. Their actions are often shaped by childhood trauma, genetic factors, mental health issues, or even simple desire for power and control. Let's break down some psychological factors. Childhood trauma. Violent or abusive upbringings can leave lasting scars that may contribute to violent tendencies in adulthood. Many notorious killers had rough childhoods, experiencing physical, emotional, or sexual abuse that had long-lasting effects on their mental health and sense of self. Brain abnormalities. Some killers have defects in their brain's prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for judgment and impulse control. Studies have shown that certain killers may have damage to this part of their brain, which affects their ability to make rational decisions and control violent impulses. Antisocial personality disorder (ASPD). People with ASPD lack remorse for their actions and often view others as tools to achieve their goals. This personality disorder is commonly seen in notorious killers who are able to commit violent acts without feeling guilt or empathy for their victims. Psychopathy and sociopathy. Psychopaths can mimic emotions but don't feel them, while sociopaths are impulsive and have little regard for the law. Both are dangerous traits, often seen in killers who engage in violent acts without remorse or the ability to form meaningful connections with others. Obsessive desire for power. Some killers are driven by a need to control their victims, enjoying the manipulation and dominance over others. This need for power can manifest in various ways, from orchestrating elaborate crimes to taking pleasure in the suffering of others. Understanding these traits helps us delve into the minds of killers. Ted Bundy was, by all outward appearances, the epitome of charm and intelligence. He was good-looking, well-spoken, and appeared harmless. But underneath that charm was a man who took the lives of at least 30 women. Bundy's ability to charm his way into the lives of young women made him one of the most terrifying and infamous serial killers in history. Known as the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez terrorized Southern California in the 1980s, committing a series of brutal home invasion robberies, rapes, and murders. His case remains one of the most chilling in criminal history. Ramirez's violent crimes were fueled by impulsive urges and a twisted desire to spread fear. Psychological profile. Sociopath. Ramirez had little regard for human life and exhibited behavior consistent with antisocial personality disorder. He was driven by a need to hurt and terrorize others, without any clear motive beyond causing chaos. Satanic influence. Ramirez claimed that he was inspired by Satan and wanted to spread fear and chaos, believing he was fulfilling a divine mission. This belief system played a central role in his crimes, as he sought to create a sense of terror in the public. Impulse-driven. Unlike some killers who plan meticulously, Ramirez acted on impulse, leading to chaotic and erratic behavior. His crimes were random and unpredictable, making him even more terrifying. His random violence, often committed with no clear motive other than to cause terror, makes Ramirez's profile particularly terrifying. Eileen Wuornos was a prostitute who went on a killing spree, murdering 7 men over the course of a year in Florida. Wuornos is one of the most infamous female serial killers in history. Her case is unique because her actions were allegedly driven by self-defense, although many believe her crimes were more complex. Psychological profile. Victim of abuse. Wuornos had a traumatic childhood, being abused and abandoned by her parents. Her troubled upbringing played a major role in her later behavior and criminal actions. Borderline personality disorder (BPD). Warnos exhibited many traits of BPD, including impulsive behavior, emotional instability, and a distorted self-image. These traits may have contributed to her violent tendencies. Fighting back against exploitation, Warnos claimed that she killed these men in self-defense after they tried to assault her. While there is some evidence to suggest that she was indeed a victim of abuse, her crimes were also driven by anger and a desire for revenge against the men who had exploited her. Warnos' case is complex. While she was clearly violent, many believe that her actions were a result of years of psychological trauma and a lifetime of abuse. The psychology behind her actions is rooted in a tragic history and a desperate desire to survive. The Zodiac Killer is one of the most infamous and elusive serial killers in history. Active in the late 1960s and early 1970s, he taunted police and the media, sending cryptic letters that suggested he enjoyed the attention his crimes brought him. Despite multiple investigations, the Zodiac Killer's identity remains a mystery to this day. Psychological profile. Narcissistic tendencies. The Zodiac Killer's need for recognition and his taunting letters suggest he craved power and control over the public. His desire for fame and notoriety drove him to send letters and cryptic messages to the press, heightening the fear surrounding his crimes. Unpredictable. The Zodiac was an expert at avoiding capture, making him elusive and terrifying. His random and unpredictable murders made it nearly impossible for authorities to track him down, and his need for secrecy only fueled the mystery surrounding his identity. High intelligence. The complexity of his cryptic messages and the random nature of his murders show that he was highly intelligent and calculated. His ability to remain undetected for so long suggests that he had a meticulous, methodical approach to his crimes. Despite multiple investigations, the Zodiac's identity remains unknown, and his case continues to fascinate criminologists and the public alike. As we've explored the minds of these notorious killers, we've seen that there is no single reason for why someone commits murder. Each individual has a unique combination of psychological factors that shape their actions. Some killers were driven by childhood trauma or mental illness, while others were motivated by a desire for power or control. What makes these criminals truly chilling is not just the violence of their crimes, but the cold, calculated way they carried them out, their ability to blend in with society, to manipulate those around them,